Yeah.
Good afternoon. We'll get the call the meeting to order of the Waco Metropolitan Planning Organization Policy Board for October 17th, 2004. Dr. Kumar, do we have
We also have to call city council.
Right. we have a quorum
We
present?
have a quorum.
All right, we have a quorum present. Any other councils need to be called into order?
Yes. Yes.
City Council Waco is called.
All right. Therefore, we'll get started this morning. Our second item is a public hearing regarding a discussion or action item on the agenda. Public can speak on any discussion or action item on the agenda at this time. Do we have anyone?
Danielle.
Anybody else? Nothing about that.
No.
Then very well, we'll move to the third item, which is the approval of minutes of the September 19th, 2024 MPO Policy Board meeting. Are there any changes or corrections to those minutes? If none, minutes will stand approved then. Item number 4 is consideration and action regarding approval of 2024-14 Waco MPO Policy Board concurrence and approval of the addition of existing roadway locations to the strategic highway network. Dr. Kumar.
So Texas Department of Transportation and Department of Defense, they collaborate on declaring some parts of the highways as well as any necessary roadway segments that are important for the power projection platform that U.S. Department of Defense uses for the movement of its connectivity connections, not only among the Army bases. So in our case, the most important one being Fort Cavazos. And so in this particular case, the two of the bases that are very important, Fort Bliss and Fort Cavazos, and the designated seaports in Port Beaumont and Port Arthur. And so right now, at this point in time, Department of Defense is proposing adding 17 existing roadway sections throughout Texas. 3 of them happen to intersect or crisscross with the Waco MPO area. And the intention behind it is to improve the transportation infrastructure that is critical to military and logistical operations. What this also means is that the design standard for these roadway also have to meet the specifications of the U.S. Department of Defense. And so what we are proposing here is the 3 segments from US 84, State Highway 6, and State Highway 31, all of which are within the MPO planning area. And let's go to the next slide. These are the maps of the 4 locations, US 84 from Gatesville until I-35, State Highway 6 between 84 and 35, that's the mall-to-mall project, and the State Highway 31 from I-35 to I-45, that's a 52-mile long segment. So these are the 3 new roadway segments that U.S. Department of Defense has requested be added to the STRANET, and TxDOT has requested that each of the MPO policy board concurs with the redesignation or the designation of these roadway segments as part of the STRANET. So what we are requesting you to do is to approve a resolution concurring and approving the addition of these existing roadway locations on the STRANET.
So they're going to upgrade these roads at no cost to us.
Actually, U.S. Department of Defense does not, but TxDOT will make that much higher priority if there were any deficiencies in these areas. So typically, state DOTs end up using these as part of their prioritization for where to invest.
So there's no real downside.
There is no downside for us at all.
And I guess this is more a Stan question. How
prioritized, are they?
So I haven't looked into this corridor. We've done other corridors with Port Cavazos. We're looking at, you know, safety requirements, height requirements, more than anything, so we can get their equipment through. The previous one I was involved in, because you might have a better idea of timing on this, but they're looking at a 15-year time frame. So it was a different corridor for the same purpose. So it's kind of a long approach. So as our projects get developed and built, we have a different set of standards that we have to design.
The last audit that they had done and US 84 was reviewed by the Department of Defense about 2 years ago. And there was no major deficiency that was found at that point in time for their purposes.
But if there were, it would be taken into account for the funding from that's provided for, right?
The commission then, so commission prioritizes TriNet locations in its decision making.
Any further questions? Need to open a public hearing?
Yes.
Open a public hearing on the consideration and action regarding approval of the 2024-14 Waco MPO Policy Board concurrence and approval of the addition of existing roadway locations to the Strategic Highway Network or STRANet at 1:40 p.m. Is there anybody wishing to address the policy board regarding this item?
No.
No? If none, then we'll close the public hearing at 1:40 p.m. Now we have consideration and action on resolution 2024-14. Do we have a motion? Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda this afternoon is item number 5. It's an update discussion on the 2050 Waco Metropolitan Transportation Plan.
So we have been, this is of course, and I keep reminding you that this is our most favorite image that we have created that covers everything that MPO does and how everything fits together into one coherent set of systematic. So the MTP is obviously our largest umbrella document that we produce. It's our long-range plan, and as you're aware that we have been working on it since January of last year, and we are for the final phases of this. Let's go to the next slide. And so this is a roadmap that we have been following. At this point in time, we are about to conclude. We have concluded the public meetings, 5 of them that we have conducted so far. And in today's meeting, we are going to present to you the preliminary ranked list of projects that we have that we intend to include in this. Today, we will not be expecting you to take any action, but after the consideration and discussion today, at the November meeting, we will expect you to give us the final ranked list that we would like to conduct our formal public comment period on. Let's go to the next slide. So this is a map which some of you may not be able to see fully here, but that's also the reason why we also have it on a poster here, and also all the projects are listed here. We'll go through each of these projects at least by name. And if you have any question, what we would, if there are simple questions that we can answer them, but if you would like more detail on what the project entails, what the descriptions are, and if you have additional thoughts, we will stay as long as you want. We have a long list of paper, we'll take notes and such so that we can account for them as well. But in this case, you can see that that's McLennan County and the projects are all across except for there are fewer projects in the top left area and fewer projects on the bottom right area, but rest of it. And that's sort of expected. I-35 ends up being the most important roadway segment through McLennan County, and a lot of projects sort of bisect, and that's what you're seeing in the map. Next slide, please. So among the new projects, the highest ranked project is the Business 77 South Loop Drive, followed by Potts Interchange, followed by Hewitt Drive. Hewitt Drive is a new project, the Business 77 and 84. We have discussed them in the past several times. They were included and have been discussed over the last several years. But Hewitt Drive is important because based on the analysis last year, actually early this year, it is very likely that Hewitt Drive is going to be on the top 100 most congested roadway segments in Texas. And when that happens, typically TxDOT Commission takes strong attention to that. And we are all aware that how important probably Hewitt Drive is from the business standpoint, but also from the safety standpoint. In our comprehensive safety action plan, Hewitt Drive kept coming up as one of the important safety concerns. State Highway 6 through Waco, Lakeshore, Steinbeck Bend, US 84 portion to Woodway. This is the number 7 is Hewitt Drive between I-35 and 84. The item number 3 there is from Sun Valley to 84, that smaller section. Then US 77 through Robinson, New Dallas Highway in Belmead, Sun Valley Boulevard, Hewitt, 77 and Highway 6 in Robinson, Spur 299 Belmead Drive in Belmead. Next slide. Then we have the South Hewitt Drive, Ritchie Road intersection, Old Lorena Road in the county. We also have Sun Valley Boulevard and I-35 turnarounds, Tokyo Road in west, Cotton Belt Parkway, State Highway 6 and Golson Road, and then Tours Road. These are the 20 roadway projects that we have in the MTP that are TxDOT right of way, because in the MTP, we plan to keep the list separate. So there are TxDOT right of way and there are local streets that are ranked differently. And so let's go over to the next slide. These are all the regionally significant projects that we have, that the evaluation team has ranked. And the highest ranked is the Dutton Avenue Memorial Drive in Waco, North MLK Boulevard in Waco, Spiegelville, Old Lorena Road in Waco, 25th, 26th Street in Waco, Forest Street, Sanger Avenue in Waco, followed by Old McGregor Road and Ritchie Road in Woodway, Arterial Roadway Extension in Robinson, Panther Way in Hewitt, Airbase Road in Belmead, Park Hill Castleman Creek in Hewitt, Warren Road, Old Temple Road in Hewitt, Ross Road in McLennan County. So these are all the regionally significant projects that have been ranked and that we wanted to bring to your attention. And in this MTP, we will also have 5 distinct feasibility studies, and let's go over that. So the one is the Hewitt, One is the Hewitt Drive feasibility study. This will cover the entire portion from I-35 to US 84, because Hewitt Drive has become not only an important connector, but ends up serving a significant portion of McLennan County as the primary destination for businesses, doctors' offices, appointments, and such. So we need to study Hewitt Drive in a more meaningful, more comprehensively. The second is the regional connectivity over Brazos River. This idea came up because it was pointed out several times that north of the Lakeshore Drive, there is no bridge on Brazos River, and south of Loop 340, there is no bridge on Brazos River in McLennan County. There was a request from City of Riesel to understand how the connectivity could be improved, and there was a request from the northern portion from Colson area, but how the Brazos River connectivity could be improved. So we think that it makes more sense for us to discuss it as a regional connectivity challenge and figure out what are some of the best projects that need to come out of that.
Dr. Kumar, on that one, on number 1, Hewitt Drive, which affects, I guess, 3. Is that, or have we received that top 100 most congested designation yet?
Not yet.
Okay, but we're expecting that.
Yes.
Okay.
So Texas Transportation Institute presents that annual list of 100 most congested, which in some ways is a very strange kind of listing. But what it does indicate is that it's a really important roadway segment for the region. And so we need to figure out how can we comprehensively address, because it also means that the area obviously is very desirable, and that from businesses or the residential, from schools and all of those perspectives. And so in that sense, what we figured that as we make progress over the next 25 years, the connectivity between US 84 and I-35. That's going to remain significantly important. And so it makes sense for us to be thinking about it much more comprehensively than merely as a capacity project or only as an expansion project or any of that. We should really be taking into account at least a certain amount of buffer area on both sides and seeing how development is going to.
Thank you.
Any other question on this? We also have the North Loop 340 corridor feasibility study. In fact, quite a bit of it is really for that portion between 84 and 35, which is very high on our list because Loop 340 really does need to be connected to I-35 in a meaningful way. And we have a safety demonstration project that we'll be conducting. We also wanted to make sure that it gets studied properly because there are drainage issues and such, and more often than not, it's a fairly complicated problem, and we expect to solve that one to the best way we can. US 84 corridor feasibility study. This covers the area entirely, all of it between McGregor and City of Waco. So the idea is that, excuse me, the idea is that is one of our highest high growth areas that we're expecting. And then US 27 and Highway 6 interchange feasibility study as well. So these are the 5 feasibility studies that we are expecting to include in the MTP at the moment. One of the exercises we did during our public meetings was that we took all of our projects and we had people put their pins on what some of their highest, most important projects they had. And that's what we listed here. And one of the things you would notice is that first choice, most important project during the public meeting came out to be Dutton Memorial Improvement, Martin Luther King Boulevard widening, Hewitt Drive, 25th, 26th Street corridor, McGregor Drive. So you can see what most of these projects are that we just listed. The second choice, meaning that after the first project was taken care of, what is your next most important project that you want to pay attention to? And so you can again see that it's fairly consistent with what our ranked list is. It does not mimic exactly the same way, but it's very consistent with how the projects are ranked at the moment. So for today, we really just wanted to bring it to your attention that these are the projects and this is the preliminary ranking with which that we want you to consider. Policy board has the ability to change the ranking any way it wants. We wanted to present to you what the evaluation team has done. We have spent significant amount of time discussing each of these projects with every city, TxDOT district, and the MPO staff. We have all spent quite a bit of time with the evaluation team to come up with this ranked list. And at this point in time for this meeting, we wanted to present it to you. At the next meeting, we would like you to finalize the ranked list so that we will call for a 25-day public comment period after the November meeting. And at the January meeting, we are scheduled to adopt this as the MTP.
Will this be kind of, I like this visual, but could we also get it in the like 1 through 20?
Absolutely.
To see that as well?
Yes.
Any further questions? Not, you're gonna bring it back?
Yeah, we'll bring
Next
it back to the next figure for a formal action. Yes. Or rather a directive action. We'll expect you to direct the staff to call for a 45-day public comment period.
Right, okay. Moving on to item number 6, review, discussion, and directive action regarding the use of state allocated safety funds for the purchase of traffic trailers.
So we, just a bit of a background, last year, this was early last year in 2023, a proposal was made to TxDOT Commission to allocate just about $1.25 million for development of safety plans across all the MPOs across the state. TxDOT Commission agreed to do that, and so they allocated the money, and it came out to be $50,000 per MPO. Most MPOs were offered the option that if they wanted to develop a safety action plan, they could contract collectively with Texas Transportation Institute, and these monies would be used by TxDOT to give to TxDOT TTI, Texas Transportation Institute, to develop safety action plan for every MPO. There are 6 MPOs in the state who either already had a comprehensive safety action plan on the book, or they already had the funding to develop a much more comprehensive planning process. We were one of the 6 MPOs who were already developing a comprehensive safety action plan, so we did not need one. So we requested TxDOT that we be allowed to use the $50,000 the way we think it should be used for the safety. And after some amount of discussion, they agreed to do this. And so one of the items we figured that we would like to do is to use the $50,000 to purchase 3 speed radar traffic trailers that all the smaller communities or whichever community does not have or needs one can borrow it. And what we would expect in return is to collect data on our behalf. And because the idea behind all of this is that we want to use them to consider the effectiveness of how all the safety measures that we are taking, whether they are having any effect or not. And so for our purposes, it is a safety planning activity that we would like to engage in. And so what we are doing is, what we intend to do is, let's go to the next slide. So we have, since this is smaller than $50,000, we're required to have 3 quotes. And so we have requested it. This is in the process of revision because we have asked all 3 of them to revise their quotes to reflect the cooperative pricing agreement, as well as the 60-day validity period. And so these numbers may change as we have asked them to revise them. And what we wanted to also do is that just wanted to let you know that the way it's going to work is Waco PD had generously offered to not only house it, but also manage the 3 trailers. And Sergeant Ashworth is here. And so if you wanted to say a few words about, we have had quite a bit of discussion on how we manage it, because we, as an MPO, we are not a law enforcement agency, so we cannot use this for law enforcement purposes. So Sergeant Ashworth is also on our safety action task force and helps us significantly with really getting deeply into how we have been using these for safety purposes.
So most of these can be used to collect quite a bit of other data other than just speed. So we can get number counts and things like that. We can get counts for speed, counts for time. So one of the things, now, all these come with red and blues. We're gonna set that to where they will go off, because there again, this is not for law enforcement purposes. This is to collect data and whatnot. Now, I can't make the sign stop flashing at you whenever you go over the speed limit, but at least the blinking speed limit sign. But I can get a lot of different data from this, and we're still working out how that, I guess, lending program would happen. But the basic idea is they would come get with us. We'd show them, they're very easy trailers to go with or to do anything with. And they can hook up to it, take it, let's say Mark needs to borrow it. They take it out to Mart. They just simply, we'll have it set up before they, whatever speed limit, before they even get it out there. They just turn it on, lock the door back up. And then when they're done with let's say 2 weeks, all they have to do is take a USB, put it into the USB port, wait till it stops flashing, all the data is downloaded, they can bring it back to us. Whatever kind of format they want as far as the data goes, we can generate a report off of that. And we can share that with the MPO, the city, or whatever entity, by simply emailing it to you in a PDF or whatever form that you need it to be in.
So today, we're happy to answer any question. We are expecting you to give us the directive to go with the best code that we get there. So.
Any further questions? None? Any objection to awarding or allowing the MPO staff to purchase the 3 speed trailers? Traffic control trailers. No objection, I think you got it.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda this afternoon is review, discussion, and directive action regarding authorization of MPO staff to begin the process of consultant selection to manage and carry out activities related to the fiscal year 2023 Safe Streets and Roads for All and the SS4A grant award.
So as you recall, we have executed the grant for 2023 demonstration projects. The projects are all of these locations. North Loop 340 is the most complicated of our challenges here. LaSalle Avenue, and I'm going to go over each of these items for your discussion here. So let's move to the next one. So this is the first one, Loop 340. One of the challenges here is not only that there are several schools here, 5 schools in the nearby area, it also has very little pedestrian infrastructure. And the challenge here obviously is that we are expecting this to serve as a connector between Loop 340 and I-35, but it also ends up being a very highly intensive with businesses, schools, and a significant amount of movement that happens. It's quite a complicated problem, but we are expecting to run some demonstration projects to see what works, what does not work, so that we have a much better idea on what really needs to be done on a permanent basis to solve this problem. Next slide. This is LaSalle Avenue portion of it. What we are expecting is that this is between University Parks to the traffic circle. And it's one of the challenges we have is that this roadway ends up serving as the dividing line between low-income neighborhoods and the Baylor campus, or the areas that are dominated by Baylor students who rent housing there. And there's a significant challenge between how students use this roadway versus the local population uses this roadway. And it's a 6-lane. More often than not, people drive here almost close to 60 miles an hour. And as you can see, that there are several places where you can cross over and create some significant safety challenge in the area. So what we are trying to figure out is what do we need to do in this entire roadway segment to make sure that it's not only safe, that is going to remain our priority number 1, 2, 3, but at the same time, we also want to start accommodating what the local traffic is going to look like in this area, as well as how students tend to use it. Next slide.
When you say students tend to use it, is that more like, say they're on the, what would you call it? Trying to think directionally, but you're on the non-campus side of the stall.
Yes.
And east side, and you're trying to, students are more likely to cross all the lanes. I've seen that.
Yes.
People like try to get to is that like an example of
Yes.
versus non-local?
Yes.
Okay.
Because US 77, this was the original highway connecting, San Antonio to Dallas. And so a lot of development, the design, over time, it has obviously changed, and speed limits. And so we have been, creating these entry points, the medians that are broken up significantly. But there is very little pedestrian and bike infrastructure that exists at the point. And so, again, we intentionally pick these projects that these are not straightforward, simple projects. We may have cross-cutting, cross-purposes objectives here. And so we'll try and figure out, what is the best solution rather than one particular thought that this is what we're going to do. And so the demonstration project in each of these cases allows us to experiment and see what works, what does not work. So in many cases, we will learn that whatever we thought was going to work is not going to work. And so those are also very important lessons to learn in each of these cases. Next one. This is Hewitt Drive. This is next. Yeah. This is the area in front of the Midway Middle School. This is the area where we have had significant collisions in which crossing guard was hit once, and then there was another incident similarly. There's a significant amount of students who do cross Hewitt Drive at this location. We have been considering what some of the interventions need to look like. One of the things we have done is that in the discussion yesterday, we decided that it did not make sense just to use the intersection, so we would extend this to Regal Drive, from Panther to Regal on Hewitt Drive. Valley Mills and Dutton, this is the area which again has had some pretty severe safety consequences, some fatalities that have occurred in this area. Again, somewhat complex problem because we have a school on one corner, we have gas station, businesses, and there is significant amount of population that also covers, this is the beginning of Dutton and goes all the way to VA hospital. And so we want to figure out exactly what needs to be done. As you can see in this image that there is a median at that location, but trying to cross 4 lanes of traffic and then standing in that narrow median in Texas sun just doesn't make sense. It's a recipe for disaster. And so we will try to figure out exactly what do we need to do in this area. Next is did I?
Yeah, you skipped Robinson.
Okay, I hit the wrong one. So we go back. Yes, go back to. Yes, so this is Loop 340. Excuse me. In this one did not show up in our data analysis any significantly, but what in our discussion with the Robinson PD and the staff from City Hall, what came out was that there's a significant amount of traffic that comes off Loop 340, gets on 77, and immediately tries to make a left turn. And the result is a major disaster. There are fender benders, and the police department is often there attending to crashes all the time. So this is another major location where we try to figure out, how some of the well-intentioned projects, often because of how the neighborhood entrance points are set up, end up causing challenges, and what can we do about these? So now let's go to Union Hall, it's the last one. So this is what we had proposed this as a downtown project. And so we are not necessarily settled on Union Hall at this point in time. The idea was to create a parklet, take 2 parking spaces in front of any of these businesses that can use, such as restaurants are most likely candidates, and extend the sidewalk for 2 of the parking spaces and extend the quality of the sidewalk itself. The idea is that those kinds of developments typically end up making the street itself much safer. And so we have considered several different locations in downtown. We have considered the area in front of Clay Pot and Barnett's Pub. We have considered the area in front of Fable and also the Herringbone on 4th Street, South 4th. And the Union Hall is also, of all these locations, Union Hall makes most sense because Franklin Avenue comes up as a significant safety challenge all the time. And however, the challenge in each of these projects is that in order for these projects to succeed, the private businesses where we place them, they have to agree to maintain and use it. Because if they don't maintain and use it, this would be a failure. Then it would be, so we know that for sure. And that's one reason why we have not settled on any particular one. We are in some discussions with some of the locations and the Union Hall people at the moment, and see where we end up with. This is an opportunity because we like this location also because it's a federal courthouse. That's the red brick roof area that you notice here. And there's significant amount of pedestrian movement every morning at 8 o'clock when the court opens. This is also important because Waco Transit had this morning pullout in which 8 of the 10 routes they use exactly this route every morning. And so it's really important for us to prioritize this intersection, and it holds huge amounts of potential. So we hope to make this work, but as we said, if we don't have agreement with the private businesses, it will not work. And we have not been able to make good progress so far, but we will see where it goes. So at this point in time, what we are gearing up to do is to prepare the request for qualifications for the consultants, and what we are expecting it to occur. So within the next week or 2, we will issue the RFQ, and the timeline we have is that we are expecting it to get it to Waco City Council agenda on January 7th, and we would like to bring this to the policy board on January 16th. So during the month of December, we would like to go through the process of selecting a consultant to undertake the project. So we are expecting a directive from you to the staff to start the process of consultant selection.
All in favor of seeking proposals, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item. Updated discussion on current grant efforts.
So we have discussed most of these. We were very excited to receive additional $800,000 in federal money to do sign inventory in the 2024 SS4A. But even more exciting than that was really that we finished our comprehensive safety action plan in time. And City of Robinson and City of Belmead applied for SS4A implementation grants and got it. And so just to brag a bit here, in this entire state of Texas, there are 5 implementation grants, and 2 of them are right here in McLennan County. And so thanks to Craig and Yost at Belmead to take the leadership and making sure that we got the project. So we are super excited about that. We have also executed the grant for the 2020 for the RAISE grant, and we will start the process very shortly. But there are 2 items that we wanted to bring to your attention that do require your attention, in fact, in very short order. One is that, let's move to the next slide. So for the demonstration grant agreement, we wanted to, what we will do is that we have some time to discuss it, but the expectation is that we want to create a sign inventory for traffic sign and the roadway sign for across the McLennan County. And about half of that project is going to be rural parts of McLennan County, but we would like to open it for all the cities throughout the county who want to participate and would like to sign this inventory. We understand that there are a lot of cities that are very small and they may not have the staff and the capacity to maintain the GIS database. And so we are having these discussions with Zane Dunham, he's the county engineer for McLennan County, that how could we assist this very small cities that do not have staff to maintain this. But we're also thinking that cities that have more than 10,000 population, they have more signage inventory. And so the local match in this case will have to be called together from all of these different cities and the county. And so Belmead, Hewitt, and Robinson into one tier, then Lacey, Lakeview, McGregor, and Woodway in another tier of 5,000 to 10,000 population. And then cities that are 1,000 to 5,000 population, Beverly Hills, Bruceville, Eddy, Colson, Lorena, Mart, Moody, Riesel, and West. And then cities that are smaller than 10,000, such as Crawford, Hallsburg, Leroy, Clinton, Ross. And so these are the cities. So we're trying to figure out what that system is going to look like. We will probably have to execute some interlocal agreement so that all the cities that are participating in it, we can all do it together. So we are very excited about this as well. We will have some money to replace some sign and run some demonstration project on that as well. Now, something very important, it came to our attention and we have requested Jacob to come and talk about EdSIP grant. And so it is due very soon. And so please tell us more about it. This ends up funding quite a bit of very important projects throughout.
Good afternoon. My name is Jacob Chow with TechDOT. I'm the Director of Transportation Operations here in the Waco district. So I just want to talk about the HSIP, the Highway Safety Improvement Plans for TechDOT. It is a federal funded project. So there are 4 components under this program. It's district targeted, district systemic, district off system, and then the annual priorities. So basically, the district targeted, systemic, and annual priorities are 3 buckets of monies that the TechDOT sponsor projects. And for the off system, local government partners, we have the district off system bucket of money for that. So this is just some highlights on in terms of the off system portion of it. So the local government is responsible 100% for the cost of designing the projects and any kind of environmental studies, any kind of utility relocations or right-of-way acquisitions. And the local government also is responsible for any changeover in the plans, if there's any plans error during the construction phase of it. So, but in terms of the cost of the construction, the HSIP program will fund 100% of projects. Next slide. So just a very, very brief, the current status of this program, for fiscal year 25 and 26, all the funding is allocated, so all the projects are already programmed. We do have a little bit of funding available for the ARC system for FY 27. And then we are actually looking for projects from the local governments for the FY 28 program, which means that the projects will be let in FY 28. So it's unfortunately it's 2 years down the road, but there are opportunities for the local governments to do some of the upgrading and things like that. So next slide. So these are some of the examples of awesome projects that we have done in the past, with local government like City of Waco's or City of Temples. So adding new traffic signals or improving traffic signals, adding pedestrian elements to that intersections, and reflective backplates. Those are the reflective borders that are installed around the signal heads. And then also rectangular rapid flashing beacons, pedestrians elements, and then concrete barriers or traffic islands or ADAs, ramps and sidewalk, things like that. So next slide. So this is the timeline that we're looking for. So what we're asking for the local government is submit any projects, potential projects that you guys have in mind that you may see the issue to address safety in your roadway, but you don't have any funding opportunities available. So submit those projects to me. You can just email it to me, and the deadline, official deadline for the submission from y'all is at the end of this month. However, I have about a month of buffer, built into it. So if you have project, but you submit it late to me, that is okay too. So all I'm looking for is maybe locations and then the scope of the project. What are you expecting to do? You want to improve the signals, you want to add some back plates, you want to add ADA ramps or pedestrian sidewalks and things like that. Just send the information to me and my team will run some crash analysis and looking at the number of crashes that are at that location. And then we will rank the projects accordingly. And also we will ask for you guys to give us an estimate of cost estimates of the projects. So we can work with you on that too. Sometimes, it may be for smaller community, maybe it's a challenge to put some of these cost elements together so we can have them too. So anyway, so the goal is to get everything ready and submit to our traffic safety division by middle of December. So that's our goal.
So just a question, is this kind of more informational for the member cities of the MPO for us to be aware individually or member entities that we can apply as opposed to the MPO as a body putting through projects?
Correct,
right?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, the submission projects, what we're actually targeting is, the counties and then the cities.
Okay.
Not the MPO as a whole, yes.
And so, for example, let me just say you've got existing broken up streets. Right of ways already acquired, essentially design is gonna be pretty minimal. But what this grant would do is it pays for strictly construction. Is that right?
The grant is to build new, say you have sidewalk, you have section of it, you have no sidewalk, but you have sidewalks in between. So the program will pay for the construction of the new sidewalk, but we are not able to fund that for maintenance of it. Say,
okay, so if a sidewalk is like crumbling, you couldn't do it, but if there are gaps, you could fill those gaps, or if there were right of ways already. I'm trying to think of just how we would. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
But just individual member entities need to contact you and soon. And
Yes.
right.
Is there a list of the approved projects on the website for what 26 and 25 and 26 are?
It's not on the website, but I can
Would
provide
you
that
please,
information.
because I mean, that may be able to give us a better direction.
To get a sense of what is funded and what has to. Yeah, that's great.
So for the City of Waco, the most recent one that we finished is Waco Drive. We improved the traffic signals and then all the ADA ramps and sidewalk from Valdez all the way
That was too much brand.
Yeah, that's through this grant, through this council, yeah, back. So we've been working with South Waco a lot, for these grants, and, you know, we definitely want to, you know, spread that out to other local governments to take advantage of this. We don't have that much money, but, you know, I think a little bit.
Some.
Any questions?
Construction.
So the most important part we want to admit, sorry, you were saying something.
So what we're trying to impart on everybody is we've got 2 weeks to get this.
Right.
Because we love it a little. It's a project, it's like project a little bit like the Waco Drive project. I think everybody saw because it took us 4 years. to get that.
I should mention that actually Jacob had already sent every city the information in September. And so that email had already gone out. We wanted to make sure that it got re-emphasized because none of you here in this room, you won't be working on any of these projects. You will have somebody else. And so we wanted to make sure that you were aware that there was somebody working on submission of this and that you had direct information and interest in it.
And Jay, I just asked a question, like on our Waco Drive sidewalk project, there were certain sections that had sidewalk, which had just, I don't remember, were those just like left there and sidewalk was just connected where it wasn't before, is that right? Word? Okay.
If it was compliant, we kept it in place. If it was in need of reconstruction, it was.
It was the in need of reconstruction sections, like if it needs total reconstruction, then it's, the grant covers it.
That's my understanding.
Yes, okay, thank you, sorry to be pressed.
I was thinking.
You what?
Didn't you say?
Well,
He said maintenance.
maintenance,
Is there any difference
we don't pay
between
for
a cracked
maintenance.
sidewalk and like one in need of total reconstruction?
But if it's non-compliant, then that.
Right.
That is covered. And I think what you were saying, your assumption is that if it's crumbling, it's not compliant, but I don't know that that was clear in the.
Okay,
I think sometimes it's in the gray area, you know, it's a piece of concrete that's on the ground, you know, you can say that it's on sidewalk, or you can.
when you say compliant, you mean ADA compliant or what? What's the
Yes.
compliant?
Finish
So
your
is
own
that certain-
search, I mean, you know.
Oh, okay, all right.
How much money is in this?
So for FY 28, I think on our system, we have about 850,000.
So those are the numbers.
It's more than enough to.
That's all I have.
Jacob, thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. We do have one more call for proposal that's already out there. And again, we wanted to make sure that we emphasize that that the TxDOT TA or disruption alternative for 2025 statewide calls has been open for a while now. And in fact, we have October 17th, that's today, from 3 to 4:30. There is this webinar that is scheduled, and we also have October 23rd from 11:30 to 1. And these are all for, you know, sidewalks, on and off street bikeways, shared use path, other non-motorized safety infrastructure. So lately we had MKT Trail is the one that's funded through TA. There's one more. Annette, do you remember the another TA project that we have here? Is Mars Drive was funded through TA as well?
Yeah, the Woodway.
From the elementary school?
Yeah, the elementary school at Woodway, that's all another TA project that was approved recently. So this is another major part of funding that we really encourage you to apply for. There's plenty of time for this one still. But please make sure that these projects actually go forward. Because what is happening effectively is that when it comes to safety of vulnerable road users, we really have three major pots of money: the federal source from SS4A grant, and then from the statewide sources from EdSIP and the TA grant. So these are three major sources of funding that we want to maximize as much as we can use in the area. This one has.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Next item on our agenda this afternoon is an update and discussion on MPO redesignation.
So I do not have a new update since the last meeting. We're still waiting to hear back from the governor's office. And at this point in time, our current planning agreement has been extended by 1 year up till September 30th of 2025. And what it does is it allows us time to go through the redesignation process and completion prior to the signing of a new agreement. This is what TxDOT has done for every MPO. They will probably do a wholesale new planning agreement at the next in the next round. At this point in time, one of the thoughts we have, and we would certainly like more discussion on this, that we had created a strategic planning work group in the beginning, which had gone through all of these. What are some of the steps that need to be taken? And some of the major steps that had been recommended, we are coming to that point when we are about to complete them all. And so it's important for us to start getting on this cycle of every 5 years, we have a strategic planning process that goes through. And what that would mean is that in early 2025, we are considering that we should bring the strategic planning work group again. And that way it lays out the strategy for the MPO for the next 5 years and next 5 years. And so in terms of timing, it would make sense for us to reconstitute the strategic planning work group at the end of MTP adoption. And then it starts looking forward to the next 5 years. And so that's our thought process, that once we hear back from the governor's office, that would be the first thing, that would be the step that we are considering we should take. But we'll of course get your approval before we do anything. We just wanted to update you on what our thought process is.
Any other discussion on the MPO redesignation? Questions, concerns? Okay. Item number 10, update and discussion from the Technical Advisory Committee. Mr. Zane Dunn.
No update this time.
There's no update from the
Next time.
Okay. Well, then we'll move on to our next item. And hear from Clayton Zach.
All right, we'll start with Mold to Mall. This will be the last update on this project. With this, we'll just kind of walk through history here. Here's the baggy turnaround before we started construction. You remember no U-turns to either side. Go to the next slide. There you've got U-turns constructed to either side of that structure. Here at Beverly, no frontage roads. If you remember these kind of short entrance and exit ramps, really short weave lanes on the main lanes, lots of issues there. Go to the next slide. Now we've got completed frontage road bridges, longer ramps, longer weave lanes. So it helps move that traffic through a little bit better there. Moving on here at Industrial Imperial, again, you can see some of the short ramps, short weave lanes. Next slide. Again, you see the widened main lanes there in the middle, widened frontage roads, more room to move around as we. Oxygen Depot, again, you can see the short weaves, no frontage roads. Next slide, continue with frontage roads, widened main lanes, longer auxiliary lanes. This picture, I think everybody remembers this old exit to 84 and the issues that caused. Looking at this picture, I forget that it was that close to the intersections and the issues we saw with traffic backing up onto the main lanes there. Again, next slide, that's now gone. So those that drive this area, exit back between the railroad tracks and industrial, so.
It's about 3 miles back.
What is that?
With that, we're wrapping up a little bit of cleanup, have a DMS structure to get commissioned, but other than that, this project is wrapped up.
Thank you all so much.
Great board answers.
Spring Valley widening project, again, we're on track for that completion into this calendar year. The bulk of the road work right now is really between Hewitt Drive and Old Temple. Go through the images here. I had some other pictures. This might be the one from the technical committee, but main thing here is that between Hewitt Drive and Old Temple, we've got curb and gutter in place. All underground work is complete. Contractor is getting flex space finished out. Should start paving operations at the beginning of November. Get that roadway opened up again by the end of the year. Our U-Park widening, another one that will wrap up at the end of this calendar year. Just this week, we poured the second half of the bridge at Primrose Creek, I'm sorry. I've started our paving operations there at the approach on either side of the bridge. And next week, we'll start our final surface of pavement there. Really, the remaining work will be focused on the intersection of LaSalle, getting those signals up and operational. So there's this, the bridge structure at Primrose Creek, so again, that now has a bridge deck placed on it as of this week. And then up in the intersection, the bulk of the island work is done. I'm working on some electrical details with the city and Encore right now. I think we should have that one wrapped up towards the end of the year. 31 and 2311, this is a project that's really started up since the last time I was here to present. But again, this is constructing an overpass. 31 up and over 2311, so a mirror image of what happened at 939. Along with this, we are also rehabbing and widening after the 2311 from 31 to 308 up in Leroy. We're looking at a 2.5 to 3 year project there. The big thing to note is sometime next spring, we're looking at approximately an 8-month closure, full closure of 2311, and that's to reconstruct 2 of our bridges there over the creek crossing. So we'll get some word out before that actually happens. Next picture, the bulk of the work is really for the westbound frontage road on the north side of 31 right now. Contractor already has flex space up and running there, and then in the wide median of 31 is working on the embankment for the new bridge headers for the new overpass bridges. And just some updates on smaller projects. At the top one, our State Highway 6 Millen Inlay. All the work in McLennan County is complete. They're down closer to the Robertson County line now, actually working on this one. Looking at the end of this year to have paving operations wrapped up. Our Bellmead Drive, the Loop 340 overlay, paving is actually completed there, working on a little bit of punch list and cleanup. And then our Business 77 bridge demo there, Fox Interchange and 77 and 84, the old structure is gone, roadways in final configuration. Again, just a little bit of final cleanup there, but that project is also wrapped up. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
Appreciate all the good work on the wall. That's been a dream to drive.
Thanks, Clay. Next item on the agenda is work group updates.
We do not have any new work group update. You heard from the bike bed work group. Our next meeting is going to be for the bike bed work group on November 20th. We're finalizing the white paper for the connected automated vehicle. And so they will not meet until January 15th. That's all.
That brings us to announcements. Our next meeting is Thursday. Wait, you guys.
Yeah, we have a few months.
Monthly report. Sorry, excuse me. MPO monthly report. Dr. Moore.
So there's a small change in so we have funded 2 projects in downtown Waco using our carbon reduction program fund, and there have been a request to make 2 changes to the limits, and we wanted to bring to your attention. And then I'll bring up a couple of other items. So one project was South 4th Street, which was proposed originally as between Jackson Avenue and Webster Avenue, and the request is to extend it from Jackson Avenue to Clay Court. And the other project was on Clay Avenue sidewalk project. Existing limit that was proposed originally was from 3rd through 8th, and the requested limits have been extended to University Parks Drive. The reason for both of them is that pedestrian traffic is with the new basketball arena. The pedestrian traffic has gone up significantly in the area, so it makes sense for the 2 projects to be connected with each other, as well as both of them connected to that University Parks area, because a lot of people have been parking their cars and walking to these arenas. So it makes sense to extend it. In this particular case, the federal funds, the category 10 funds that is being used for carbon reduction program, that amount is not changing. And what that means is that this is listed as a group project in our TIP. And so the policy board does not need to take a formal action on it. This is really for your information. None of the, so limits are changing. All the additional costs are being covered by City of Waco. And so the federal cost is not changing as part of the project. So you do not have to take any formal action on this item. We wanted to make sure that you were aware that a project that you had approved before that is changing its limits. Next slide. We are super excited to do this book discussion. It's about a book whose title is Killed by a Traffic Engineer. And I know that in this room, we have roughly about at least half of you have some you can claim yourself to be a traffic engineer of some sort. But we're going to discuss this because it's really important for not only safety purposes, but since we have prioritized and Waco MPO is committed to formally committed to Vision Zero by 2050. We want to make sure that we take all the safety related projects with the best knowledge we have available to us. And so we look forward to having this. We have tremendous responses so far. In fact, a lot of people have sent us information. They're super excited to be there. If any of you would like to be there, that will be great. Next Wednesday at 5 o'clock, we're meeting at Brotherwell Brewery. And hopefully we will, I'm sure that several of us will probably bring our bike and we'll actually go for a bike ride as part of this discussion.
We are to characterize this genre-wise, is this murder mystery?
I don't know, but it could be confused with drinking and driving. I don't know.
And so,
You gotta watch BWI at this event.
yeah, biking while
Hey, don't mess up with the ratio and the numbers in District 1.
So, yes, if any of you have time, would like to join us, it'll be fantastic. We also have another update. Frank Leos, who could not be here for health reason, and he had been one of the most longest serving member of the policy at the MPO. He has served on many different capacity, and even at a very advanced age, he actually got out of hospital a few months ago and actually came to our public meeting. And the very first question he asked was that, oh, tell me about all the projects. And he actually knew about all the projects already. And so we have benefited from Frank Leos for a very long time from his expertise at TxDOT as well as at the local level. And so we were very happy to see him at the same award that we gave him here at the luncheon. Brian had received it on his behalf, and the city council at McGregor made a formal ceremony of it. We were very, very delighted about that. That's all. Yeah.
Okay, now I can move on to announcements. Our next meeting is Thursday, November 21st, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. If you cannot attend the meeting, please ensure that you have assigned a proxy to represent you. Does anyone have an agenda item they would like considered for a future meeting? Hearing none. Move to our hearing of visitors. This time we provide an opportunity for the public to address the MPO Policy Board on any item of MPO business not identified on this agenda. We'll open a public hearing of visitors at 2:36 p.m. Is there anyone who'd like to address the policy board? Since there's none, we'll close public hearing of visitors at 2:36 p.m. Next item?
Yeah, so you can post the meeting. We just wanted to make sure that these posters that you're seeing around it, we wanted to make sure that you had a chance to see it. These are the posters we have been using for all of our public meetings. And these are plenty of information. All of these are going to go into our next MTP. And so that all of us as the staff, we will stick around as long as you need us to stick around. And we're happy to discuss any of these projects in detail or any of the items we have been discussing. Okay, so.
Bring us to adjournment. Being no further business, we will adjourn the meeting at 2:43 p.m. Thank you.
That's